So it's been a couple of really awesome days since filling in the basement area there. And by a couple of really awesome days, I mean it's rained a lot. So what happens when you have a lot of really loose soil, clayey type soil that's just been disturbed and dug up and moved around, is it becomes mush. Literally walking around out here and it's like up to my ankles in mud. And decided to go ahead with this trench. So twofold, I've got 250 feet of this trench that I've got to get the conduit in. Otherwise it's just going to fall in on itself and it's going to be a waste of time and money from the excavator. So really no choice but to go for it. It's going to be a nasty muddy mess, but as you can see down here, we're going underneath of a little drainage path, and yeah, that's pretty wet. So I've got to assemble most of this conduit outside of the ditch and then get it to kind of flop into the ditch down over there. And then tomorrow Dwayne's gonna come and he's gonna make sure that this is to the right level, try to scoop out and splash out some of the water because it's just coming as a slow trickle from the culvert over here. So he's got to splash some of this out, make sure that there's no big rocks down in there, and then he's going to set the conduit in and bury it a little bit with some dirt to make sure it pushes down in there, and then he'll finish the backfill on this. So yeah, it's all coming from there in that little pond thing there. So ultimately I've got to replace this culvert. I've got those two pieces up over there. That's going to get replaced. This is going to get filled in. The culvert I think is going to extend out past this so that I won't have this mess around where the electrical line is going to be. It's all in conduit. It really shouldn't be a problem, but just in case. So we'll transfer over to this. We'll dig this out a little bit, make sure it drains well, and then dumps down into the creek and hopefully avoid a mess problem here. So yeah, now I get to spend the next, who knows, hour or two till it gets dark, getting this conduit all situated, set up, playing in the mud. It's gonna be a good time. Hopefully I don't sink too far. I've got to go dig out where the conduit is up there right now. And it's raining on and off, so I don't really have any waterproof camera equipment, so I can't really bring you along with me. But maybe I'll show you the end results when I'm all done, if it's not too embarrassing. Okay? Okay. The 1-inch line, we got 10, 20, maybe another 100 feet or so. Doing all right. All right, got the power conduit and the cable conduit all glued up. So that's 250 feet, 25 10-foot pieces of 2.5-inch and 1-inch conduit down across this little gully up the hill. Tried to get a good vantage point. Try to zoom you in here, and it goes all the way there. You can see the foundation of the house all the way over there. So now I got to go ahead and put most of it in the trench, and then somewhere down around here I got to transition out of the trench so we can kind of address this super wet spot right here, and then finish putting it in, bury it, and mark it here. This is where the transformer is going to go. So all the way up our driveway there, 600, about 700 feet, back to here is where the transformer is going to go. So a lot more work to get power back, but I'm making super good progress. So let this glue dry up a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that conduit into the ground and then probably call it a day. Excavator comes, he's gonna bury all this tomorrow, and then we're going to fix this culvert over here in the drainage situation. I'll show you this. So this culvert goes underneath of our driveway to kind of a wet area back over here. Cabins up there, sawmills up there, houses up here. So this is important. We've had a couple of washouts and some really bad storms. Really only one bad storm, but you know, I was going in here to look at this, take some measurements because I wanted to go ahead and move this culvert out past where this ditch is going to be anyway, just to alleviate any water issues. I know the main line's going to be in conduit, but still, I'd rather be safe than sorry. When I looked in there to take a look-see, that culvert is kind of crushed about 10 or so feet in from there. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace that. We're dig that up. I'm going to reorient it so it's more in line. You can see like this ditch. Let me get over here and you can see what I'm talking about. There's the ditch, right? So I need to go this way and it's more like this. So we'll fix this orientation and the culvert will come out to like here. And we'll bury all this, fill in that hole with sand, kind of fill the culvert in, and then that way we'll have a nice dry driveway, dry conduit. And the only reason that this ditch is super full right now is because it's been raining non-stop for like the better part of a week. So it was super dry when we did everything up there except for filling in. And then when I did the filling in of the thing up there, the foundation, it just started raining and it hasn't stopped since. So this has filled up. This was bone dry 3 days ago and this is all filled up with rain. So fall is here, as you can see. Who knows what the weather's going to do? You pretty much just count on it being wet. So yeah, adapt and overcome. I'm going to go ahead and get to putting this pipe partially in the ground and situating all this. I really love having a tractor. It makes life out here so much easier. Like, I did all of this conduit out here like an idiot, pulling it from my truck, and I would just go back and forth and I would pull 2 pieces across that berm and everything else. And then I was thinking today, that's kind of stupid. You have a tractor, it can drive through the mud. Tractor. And I drove through the mud and I went all the way up on the other side. I've laid this 3rd piece of 2-inch conduit that was a late addition recommended by an electrician friend of mine. So I laid all this in about an hour, where it's taken me like 2 hours to do each line before because I was walking so much and fighting this berm and this ditch. And this thing is a beast. I mean, I'm in this mud pile and it went right in there. And well, I guess I'm kind of making an assumption, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come right back out, no problem. We'll find out soon enough. I've got 3 more pieces of this to glue up, and I'm done. And tomorrow we bury it. So the lesson is, if you have a tractor, use it. Don't be stupid. Be smart. Be really smart. So there it is. That's the 250 feet that's going to be from the primary, from the transformer. So a transformer is going to go probably right about where that bucket is. And then we're going to have it step down from the 13.8 kilovolts down to the 240 kilovolts that we use for our houses. There's going to be a 200 amp meter attached to a post and a 200 amp breaker pass-through box. So one line is going to go up to the house, and then eventually one line is going to snake back into this field where lumberyard, wood shop, barn, whatever is going to be, so I can have electricity out in this field. We'll get power out to that thing and probably at least some lights out to that shed. Something so I can work on the sawmill later then, when it gets dark. But there's still 650 feet of driveway, 700 feet of driveway up over that hill to the road. So grid will come after I dig a hole, a trench all the way down out to here. I'm not going to do it. Dwayne's going to do it with his excavator. And the transformer is going to get put right there. They're going to install the transformer. They're going to come put the cable in the ditch, and they're going to come install a pole out near the road to bring the power back. So there is still a lot of work to do. But the grid power planning stage is done. It's off for review. As soon as it's reviewed, it's going to go to scheduling, and then hopefully we'll be digging a trench and bringing power back here, and that will be awesome because that will make it so much easier to run the saws and equipment to build the house if we have power back here. It would also be awesome to be able to put some kind of heat in this cabin over here, because we could probably end up figuring out how to like stay over here every once in a while. Or we can bring our camper back, and the camper can be a living situation when the weather is a little bit warmer, but it's really gonna make life so much easier out here to have some power. So looking forward to that, and hopefully that'll happen before the winter comes. But if it doesn't, we'll get it in the spring. Really kind of at the mercy of National Grid at this point. So I am gonna go put the tractor away and clean up for the night. See you tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to be installing culvert pipe. So I've kind of talked about it once or twice, probably 5 or 6 times, because I tend to ramble on and off. But we're going to be replacing the culvert underneath of the driveway section here, because what is there is bent, it's crushed, it's in poor shape. So while I've got Dwayne and his excavator out here, might as well get some stuff fixed that needs to be fixed. So that's on the plate for tomorrow, and getting this trench that the conduit is in buried. Work tomorrow, and then I can get to the sawmill. I think a little bit of plumbing left on the foundation, the slab up there, but sawmill soon. I cannot wait. It's like 12 hours later from yesterday evening, sweating my face off yesterday because it was 75. Wasn't any rain in the forecast, but guess what? It rained last night and it's cold. So the rest of the week's going to be cold. Yesterday was just kind of a blessing, so we'll take it. And now I'm just going to continue putting this pipe in this here ditch. So this was the old culvert. It actually wasn't even in the low spot of this whole marshy kind of drainage area, so it really wasn't doing a great job, and that end is not really positioned correctly to drain well, and it's kind of collapsed. So we're putting in a second one. It's over more in the low area, that's the drainage area, and it's got a good grade out there, and we're going to go out quite a ways to kind of redefine that drainage path there out to the creek. So this is a much needed fix. We really didn't have many issues with like flooding or washout over the driveway, but I had a couple instances where the water was pretty high just because this thing wasn't doing what it needed to do. So now we have two. Managed to get it all done with plenty of time to spare for going to carve pumpkins. So the culvert is in the ground, the driveway is looking real nice, and the drainage is fantastic. This is already like starting to fill up so much like more smartly and go through this drainage ditch. So turn you around. That was the old one. This is the new one. We decided to leave that one in place just because it still works, just not great. But if this one can't keep up, that one will certainly help. And now this actually alleviates a lot of drainage issues here. So all this water can drain out down to the creek. And yeah, we'll be able to kind of landscape and make this look pretty. Yeah, and not have a big hole that the kids could fall into. So that's nice. And the drainage ditch, or not the drainage ditch, the conduit ditch is all filled back in. There's where the transformer is going to go, right over there. And then it goes up to where the house is going to be. So this is our driveway coming in from the road, from the field and clearing. And you can see the foundation there. So the house is going to be right there, and no more piles of dirt There is there because there's a tree and roots, so that's all got to get cleaned up. But looking very good. This all needs to just kind of settle for a little while. It is very mushy, very not workable. So this is just gonna be here for a little bit, and then it's all graded. The water sheds away, so the foundation really isn't at any risk. So I can play around in here, but that'll settle nicely through the winter. And then, yeah, I got some plumbing to finish up, and then I can walk away from this for a little while. Go work on the sawmill, clean up all this stuff, trees that are down, get all this cleaned up, get that big tree over there out of here. And then once this kind of firms up some, I can start cleaning and clearing the rest of these trees and growing my pile of lumber. That one's got to go. And then, yeah, then I can get to the sawmill. So great progress has been made. I'm feeling pretty good about this winter. Would have liked to have gotten farther than we are, but it's going to take as much time as it takes, right? Because it's pretty much me with the on and off help of my father-in-law when he has time. So, sorry, fixing the driveway with my feet. So probably the next time you see me, I'll be back to hauling trees and maybe playing on the sawmill a little bit, which is fantastic news. Get my hand out of the way there. So thank you for following along. Let me know what you think. If you got any questions, I'm certainly glad to answer them. And I will see you on the next video. Protesters! Megan's berry patch.